Well, I sure would like a cigarette.
Well, why don't you bust out a Dawson?
A Dawson, that's right. Your favorite.
Dawson cigarettes. That's right, Dawson cigarettes. Nothing beats a Dawson except a possum.
This is the internet, folks. I don't know. It sucks, though, whatever it is. Hello, and welcome back to the BDRP Early Show. I'm your host, D-Doss, and I got some special news for y'all. If y'all can even hear me. I've about had my fill with YouTube and all these strange goings-on. I really have. It sucks. It's not the... All right. Now you should be able to hear me. I get sick of this shit. I really do. I'd like to come on here and chop it up with you guys and present guests and show you stuff. It's always something. It's a old stitch of something else. But I'm seeing like a ton of lag. It looks like 56K on my side. And if it looks like that, I'm assuming you can't hear me. Tell you what. I'm going to kill a dog man and a Bigfoot. Probably just a Bigfoot, though. Dogmen are rare. And I think that's what they'll take you to jail for. Chris Beard says it sounds good. Sweet. I got a ton of lag on my side, bro. It's showing like one little bar of, and I'm hardwired in. Big Texas howdy, everybody. Big Oklahoma howdy. What's up, Rusty? So, about a year ago, there's video lag. There shouldn't be any of that stuff. Well, anyways, I won't get too mad with it. About a year ago, I told you guys how possible it was to kill one of these Bigfoot and a dog man, really. Well, the opportunities presented itself. There's this lady who's a friend of my brother-in-law's. She's a widow lady, nice older lady. She lives out in the country by herself. And I've been informed that there's some large man wearing a fur coat coming onto her property, tearing stuff up, molesting her animals and whatnot. So it's a perfect opportunity to kill one of these things, and I'll feel nothing for it. Some of these things are monstrous and they need to be dealt with. And I'm going to make that public announcement now, so in case I go to Guantanamo Bay, you'll know why. Folks, these things aren't invincible. They're not somehow inherently better than you. They may be a little bit more agile and a little bit more crafty in the woods than you are. But I firmly, in my heart, believe to the point where I know for an unequivocal fact that they can be killed. I've seen one that was killed. Native American gentleman on his front porch of Arkansas, shot it in the throat. Shot the shit out of it, killed it instantly. And you could see in the picture the dark blood coming around the wound and the dried blood. Yeah, the mother stepped out there too. I would have plugged it. These things aren't your forest friends. You've read those missing 411 books. What do you think is going on when those little kids are taking 5 miles and the only thing they find is the top of their skull on the top of a mountain 5 miles away? Or one goes behind a bush, then all of a sudden disappears, but yet another family sees some giant black figure running through the trees carrying what looks like a child. These things don't have nothing for us. I ain't got nothing for them. They may have some sort of in certain locations an affinity for certain human beings, but I believe that they'll kill 20 of us to save one of their own that they don't even know. So with this woman living out there by herself, I'm gonna kill that thing. Well, how are you gonna kill it, D? I can't tell you all that. But 4th of July is gonna come early for it. And me publicly announcing it means that when it happens, then it didn't happen. You see, I learned a long time ago, when you're really messing with these real creatures, when you say everything there is to say out in public, out front, they don't do nothing to you. They being whoever they are, whatever ABC agency. I like to make note that I have no suicidal tendencies, that I'm as happy as a jaybird, love life, love the Lord, and have no intentions on punching my own ticket, nor have I had any kind of cataclysmic car wrecks or anything like that. So, I'll tell you what, when I do, because I'm going to kill this thing, there's no doubt in my mind. I think it can be done. From the layout of the land, from where her property is, specifically, I wholeheartedly believe it can be done. Hopefully that thing goes on about its business before I go out there this weekend. But if it doesn't, there's an answer to that too. Hope everybody had a good Mother's Day. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to kill that thing. I want to, but I'm not going to. I'm going to get it off the property, though. And a lot of times, folks, it's a whole lot easier than you think. Hell no, I'm not going to kill that thing. I'm not even going to attempt to. You could, but like I've told you for years, if you see one, that there's 2 or 3 more waiting in the wings somewhere. There's no doubt in my mind this woman is seeing multiple different creatures, and she's attributing all this behavior to one. Now, I will take the proper precautions and the measurements. I want this woman to be safe. I don't think it's right that this thing's going. There's no doubt in my mind these things have an understanding that they know that this woman's out there by herself. They know that she's got these animals that she cannot defend herself nor her property, and that's why they're doing it. I think she's targeted because of that fact. If they are out there on her property, they were out there before that. Before her husband passed away. So sometime tomorrow I'm supposed to talk to her, and it's under the auspices that it's hogs and maybe some sort of a vandals messing around in their barn and going and messing with their goats and whatnot. But folks, you know and I know, there ain't no black man in southern Oklahoma, with all this humidity, gonna be walking around no fur coat or a hoodie or anything else like that. Big as a basketball player, they say. And it's in a place where, you've heard me talk about it before. I won't name it because it's a very, very small area and I don't want nobody going out there and getting themselves jacked up. But where I told you about the little people that I saw when I was a kid, 16, 17 years old, it's in that same area. And there's been reports of everything you could imagine. UFOs, little people, the big people, the Sasquatch. They even say that there's a big black dog that can stand on 2 legs out there somewhere. And it's all congregated in this small little area. So, I don't know. If I have the means to, because you're going to jail if you fight one. If you fight one of these things to death, or if you kill one of these things, I do believe that they're watched in some way. But maybe not. There's a gentleman named Rocky who was 16 years old. Him and his dad were hunting. They shot one of the young ones. There's a picture of it, and it exists on the internet. If you find it, it's real. I'm not going to link it or anything because this guy's gone through hell. Him and his dad shot this thing, and they were taken, according to him and according to paperwork I've seen, they were taken by members of the CIA. In this paperwork, it says it denotes this area as a habitation for this Sasquatch and its little family unit. And at the very bottom of the page, they call it Project Satan. Satan. Project Satan. Now, a very wealthy gentleman got a what do you call it? Under the Freedom of Information Act, got these documents that were declassified. You'd be surprised what's declassified, folks. They're just not going to advertise it. But this guy Rocky, him and his dad went home. They told his brother-in-law about it, and not a day passed before he got a knock on the door. It being one of these ABC, one specific ABC agency. He said that they didn't say very much to his dad. They yanked his dad out. When he went to the door, they yanked him out. They black bagged him, took him, what he says seemed like miles and miles away, but somehow he felt like they were in the same county. And when they took the bags off their head, he could smell dirt. You know, when you go fishing, if you go to a pond, how you can smell that dirt smell. It is it's a hell of a thing, folks, these deep underground military bases. You'll be surprised they're not that deep sometimes. But they took them into some underground bunker, and they were questioning them about how many people they told about this thing. Now, this is back in the 70s. How many people they told about this creature, how many people they brought to that area before they shot this thing. A litany of questions, and they kept asking him the same question over and over again, according to him. And he said that they spent at least 12 hours in this bunker. They wouldn't let them sleep. They wouldn't answer any of their questions. And one guy came in who was, he said he was military, yet he wasn't wearing a military uniform. He felt like he was some sort of military brass. And he asked them, did they want something to eat? And they said, of course, we've been here 12 hours. So they bring him back Burger King or something, and or they bring him back McDonald's. And this guy, Rocky, who was a teenager at the time, I think he's in his 60s, 50s now, 60s, I think. He's in his 60s. He said that when they brought him this McDonald's, he said, well, what's the matter with you, cheap bastard? You couldn't splurge and get Burger King? He said that this dude, and you can see, he showed me his jaw. This dude broke his jaw as soon as he says it, knocked out 2 of his permanent teeth. Like, I mean, he leaned into him. The dad got up and he busted his nose, folded him, slumped him. There, he's like laying around like somebody's loose change. So they let him go the next morning. They didn't patch him up or nothing. They went straight to the hospital. They told him straight up, if you tell anybody about this, we'll kill you and your whole family. Have a good day. Now, this is back in the 70s. I don't see how they can say, folks, I've spent a lot of time with a lot of researchers who know what they're doing, especially one who had, I mean, he's got long money. He can do whatever he wants to. He's I don't want to tell you who he is, but I mean, I'm pretty sure you could vouchsafe a guess on who it is. You're going to need some money for these operations. You're going to need money to kill one of these things. Either that or dynamite, in my humble opinion. Because, I mean, I don't care how mystical they are and how much they're coming through the ether and all that nonsense that you hear about. You chunk a stick of dynamite to them, they're going to go the way of all flesh. But, like I said, the guy in Arkansas, off his front porch, popped one. Laid him down. Out of there. Rocky and his, as a matter of fact, I'm going to try to get a hold of this gentleman. We were in very, very regular contact for many years. And he said if I ever want to have him on the show that he'd do it. But he gets very, very emotional when you talk to him about it, which, you know, I got a good crowd here. I don't think anybody's going to mess with him. But you hear stuff like that. And, of course, Mr. Thomas Carmine Biscardi and his $1 million challenge, he ain't laying that challenge down for nothing. That man was going to pay $1 million cold on the barrelhead to anybody who could, for the retrieval of a live specimen or corpse of one of these things. $1 million of his own money. Now everybody say, oh, well, that's, you know, him showboating, and it's him being salacious and drawing attention to his hotels, and he wants to blah, 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 blah. No. I spent a lot of time with this man. He would have given somebody $1 million. You got to think he had a publicly traded company. What was it? The real Bigfoot hunters. No, that's not it. You can look him up. Thomas Carmine Biscardi. The first thing that's going to pop up is his publicly traded company that at one point in time was estimated at $1 billion. Well, what did he trade, D? He traded the he traded hopes and dreams under the auspices of the live capture or the retrieval of a body. That's the stock. That's the stock he sold. He sold a promise, and it got up to $1 billion. That's a lot of people. You got to think, who's investing in this? Who's the investor in Carmine Biscardi retrieving a dead body of one of these things and presenting it to the public? Now, a lot of people say he's been in with hoaxes and whatnot. I just think he's a man with long money who's going to invest. If you said that you had a Bigfoot, he'd probably send you a little retainer, say, hey, hold it there. You'd have to send him some sort of proof. But this man wants he worked on the Ivan Marks film that Disney did a long time ago. He was the first unit producer, I believe. If you go back, I think it's on YouTube for free. If you go back and you look at the Ivan Marks film where, you know, it has the Bigfoot waving at the camera and whatnot, which, folks, believe it or not, I don't know what that, well, I do know what it is. In my humble Oklahoma, Ivan Marks put out that film at the behest of Walt Disney, who was absolutely a CIA liaison to throw people off because they showed the real thing in this film. Believe it or not, if you watch it now, knowing that, go back and look at that Ivan Marks film. It shows real Bigfoot. And I agree with M.K. Davis that it showed one being shot. But they mixed in all this other madness with it, right? So what are we doing? We mix in a bunch of baloney with the real deal. So when somebody sees the real deal, what are they going to do? They're going to just throw it all under one umbrella. Oh, well, that was in that Walt Disney film. That's all a bunch of garbage. They do that with just about everything you could imagine that they don't want you to know. They'll give you 70% of it. They'll show you 70% of it. They'll let you hear 70% of it. And then they'll throw in a lot of nonsense. That other 30% is going to be absolute bullshit. So when you see the real deal, you're going to be, at the very least, skeptical. They do not want anybody knowing these things are real. Why do you think they put out these cartoons? I think in one year there was 2 feature films that came out in movie theaters and 4 cartoons that came out on television talking about these Bigfoot creatures. They don't want you going out to these state parks, public places. I might as well turn this off. Going out to these state parks, public places, looking for these things. They just don't want you to do it. There's already enough of us that do. And there's some of us that if we get too close, they're gonna come and visit you. That's just all there is to it. No matter how big and bad and smart you think you are, you're not gonna, like, everything you could imagine that's connected to any kind of power is watching you and listening to you. You're not going to go sneak out there just because you're not taking your cell phone. Don't mean that they don't know exactly where you're going and exactly why you're going. Yeah, nobody's that slick. Not me, not anyone else, no matter what they convince themselves of or choose to believe. Now, knowing that, what's the only thing we can do? Well, I say trust the Lord Jesus Christ. Be covered in the blood. Be prayed up. Because, folks, and I don't think it'll be soon, but it may. There's a time when the lights go off and they never come back on again. These things have sometimes in some places tens of thousands of acres to hide. Tens of thousands of acres. Look at the Everglades. These so-called swamp apes, skunk apes. These things don't ever have to be seen by anybody at all. Yet people see them. Why? Because they're on the peripheral. Close to us as possible. Watching us. When the lights go off, how long do you think it's going to take them to realize that something's different? A week? A month? 6 months? On that, I'm sure I do not know, but I know one thing. As soon as they realize that the lights have gone off and they're never going to come back on again, they're going to start taking liberties. These things have a cognitive understanding that we are fearful by nature. And they use that. If anybody's ever been around them, you can't tell me that they don't use fear tactics. They inherently know that they are bigger and stronger than us, and that they're scary to us, that they frighten us. So I wonder, folks, like, sometimes I wonder about the purpose of this entire thing as far as like YouTube goes. What would we like to elicit from this? Sure, everybody wants the channel to be successful. Everybody wants to have a good and have an interesting story and present these hidden things in a way that folks are going to be able to understand and all that good stuff. That's all well and fine. You hear a lot of people say, which is the most redundant, retarded, ridiculous thing I've ever heard. You hear a lot of people say, oh, well, they're just in it for the money. They just want money and money, money. And anybody who's good at what they do, anybody who enjoys what they do, the American dream is to be paid for doing what you love. So you've never heard that out of me. Wes Germer, God bless him. God bless and keep him. He's, I used to call him the starting quarterback. But you'll see a lot of people, and this guy he don't go in forums, he don't mess with nobody. But you'll see a lot of people mess with him. You'll see a lot of people criticize him and say, oh, he's just about the money. He doesn't do anything for anybody. I'm pretty sure he's doing stuff for his family. I'm pretty sure he's doing stuff for his audience. His audience love the guests that he presents. Same with one of the most integrity-filled men that I've ever ran across, whether it be on YouTube or off YouTube, my brother and good friend James Williams, Dark Waters. It's crazy over the course of years that I've known this man, how much nonsense is thrown his way. How much, I mean, and the dude takes it with stride. He's pure class. But they say, oh, well, he's all about the money and blah, 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 blah. They don't see what he's actually doing for the community behind the scenes. The man's a genuine peacemaker. He'll involve himself in something that has nothing to do with him, that would be a detriment to him to be involved in, just to make sure that there's peace. Because if there's peace with us on this side of the fence, there'll be peace with you on that side. That's integrity, folks. That's integrity. And that's the spirit of the Lord. Blessed be the peacemaker. But as the wheels keep turning on this thing, nothing's changed since I've been doing this since 2014. I've not seen a whole lot of change. The change that I have seen has been for the worse. This tribalism has come upon us. This well, we all hang out in these little tribal groups and throw criticisms at one another and subterfuge and all this madness, when it ought not be so. Well, suffice it to say, what if she surrounds her home with trail cams, because Bigfoot avoids those if they don't break them? You're absolutely right. I'll let you in. I was messing around when I said I was going to kill it. I want to, but I'm not going to. Charity's right. What I plan on doing is just that. I'm going to light that place up like the 4th of July and put up some trail cams. She said her husband has some. And I'm pretty sure the questions that I sent through my brother-in-law for her were pretty. If you don't know what these things are, don't believe they exist, I mean, I'm probably going to look like a madman when I go around, on these trails that are out putting up cameras and lights. But that's how you deter a vagrant anyways, right? Folks, I don't see there being a problem with me filming it either. So that's an exciting thing. But all in all, I think this thing is probably a large or older juvenile, perhaps. I do believe that there's more than one coming on the property just from the activity. She said she saw this, again, this barefooted, large black man wearing some sort of a fur coat. Folks, the humidity down here has been ridiculous. We've had tornadoes out the wazoo. You can set your watch to them. There ain't nobody in their right mind. If the police seen somebody wearing a fur coat, they're going to put the handcuffs on them just for good measure. Because that person needs to be locked away someplace. They need a 72-hour evaluation. It's hot as hell down here. I'm over here sweating like Kunta Kinte. Just let me turn off some of these lights to turn off that camera. But I'm ready for this field to be fun again. And nobody's out there doing, I mean, how many people are out there doing like real field research? Not many. It's all, and there's nothing wrong with it. Because I'm a believer. I know enough about these things that I can hear something and I can, for the most part, be able to tell whether it's true or not. I'm the first person in your life to pronounce your name right. Well, I have a very unique name too, so I appreciate that. I mean, it's pronounced like it's spelled, I assume. Folks, I'm excited to go out there. I'll tell you that much. Learned a little bit more about my neighborhood, which I should have known. There's a museum not too far, and there's a park where there's an armory. Used to be an old cavalry armory, and down in this part of Oklahoma, it was pretty rough back in the day. When we talk about the migration of the Native Americans to the state of Oklahoma, everybody brings into their mind the Trail of Tears, but there was also willing migrations. They were, a lot of the tribes were flim-flam through Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, Georgia, Alabama. They were flim-flammed into believing that this was the land of milk and honey. So a lot of them sold their land to the United States government and took giant swaths of land in Oklahoma. So for instance, if you got a 10-acre little, you know, home place somewhere, 10 acres, that's not a lot, but it's not a little either. And Uncle Sam comes to you and says, yeah, this 10 acres is all well and fine, you know, you the ground and you're growing stuff, but listen, I'll give you 1,000 acres in this Oklahoma territory. All we want is your 10 acres. You're going to take that with a smile on your face. Then when you get to Oklahoma and see that there's no waterways and that nothing will grow, you'll be mad about it. But sight unseen, be happy. That's what they did to a lot of the Choctaw, Chickasaw, and a handful of other tribes. And in the 1880s. So I'll tell y'all this. Down here in southern Oklahoma, when a lot of those Native Americans got here, they were mad about it. And rightfully so. They were, the American government pulled what you call in French, a les flim-flam. And they gave up their land. But see, and I don't want to get too far into it because that's a documentary waiting to happen. Folks, every tribe member had to agree or the whole tribe had to stay. Now you know and I know and God knows that when people want something, they're not going to let other people stand in the way. And some folks may be willing to do some ugly stuff to get them out of the way. And a lot of that was taking place. But nevertheless, I could throw a baseball really, really hard and get within 100 yards of this armory. Folks, that armory denotes the fact that there were a lot of people probably murked in this area. Well, D, you're a Christian. You don't believe in ghosts. You damn right I don't believe in ghosts. The only ghost is the Holy Ghost. The rest of them are spirits, familiar spirits. If they're appearing to be Grandma and Pop Pop, did Grandma and Pop Pop open clothes cupboards and scare the hell out of your kids and throw teacups all over the place? No, they didn't. Because it's not Pop Pop. It's something pretending to be them, to bring you into some sort of disobedience. Once we start believing things outside of the Word of God, we fall outside of that umbrella of protection that God has over us. The Bible is the unequivocal truth. I just thought I'd drop that in there. All this weird stuff going on in all these houses around here, I think can be attributed to all the blood in the soil. The museum's haunted, so they say. The woods around here are haunted, so they say. So, and of course, you know, the neighbors I've talked to that have spirits in their home, and according to the movement of the Holy Spirit and prayer, it's been taken care of. I was blessed and fortunate enough to be a co-participant with the Holy Spirit in dealing with one of or two of these spirits that were in one of my neighbor's houses, and it was so bad that their youngest child could not sleep in his own room. That kind of stuff makes me mad, folks. It gets all the way under my skin and pitches a tent. So we went over there and mollywopped it. I'm not having it. That little boy shouldn't be able to, he shouldn't have to go sleep in his parents' room because of the spirit of some little boy, an old man appearing to him, and the old man tries to grab him in his bed. That's hogwash. That's nonsense. And neither should you. If any of y'all are dealing with that kind of stuff, there's an answer for it. And it'll be like fast acting. Greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world. But folks, if I see an opportunity, I may kill this Bigfoot. Who knows? Do you know of any sightings in Boswell, Oklahoma? My friend has 400 acres there. Well, I don't know if I say fortunately or unfortunately, but I've heard of 2 cases in the 10 years I've been doing this out of Boswell. One gentleman actually asked me to come up, and these things that pitched a tent on his land. It was a very wooded area, and there was a creek that ran through it. So, you know, it was perfect habitat. And there's a younger man, he inherited the land from his folks and didn't really do anything with it. So he let it grow up wild. But brother, you're in Oklahoma, Rusty? God bless you, fellow Okie. Hopefully you weren't harmed, or none of your property or belongings or family or friends were harmed by any of these wild storms we've had over the past couple of weeks. Peace and blessings, North Carolina Cryptid and Paranormal Project, the NCCPP. Good man. Well, folks, that's all I had for you. Hopefully y'all could hear me okay. I don't know if it's the internet. Since the storms, it's been really spotty, but you know, we often have little technical snafus. It'll be all right though. You'd be doing me a great favor if you hit a like on this video though, and we'll try to get you more stuff out that you will enjoy. Is there any questions that anybody has, or is there any place that's near Oklahoma that you would like me to go and visit? I'm not afraid of these things whatsoever. People used to call me crazy for going in the woods without a gun, but I mean, back in my younger years, I fancied myself a semi-professional fisherman, and I'll carry a gun. And I say, oh, well, there's other wildlife out there. There's, you know, mountain lions and hogs and whatnot. Not where these things are. You see, natural wildlife has a little bit better sense than we do. That feeling that you have out there that makes you want to turn away from it, yet you walk. So if that's all, folks, hit a like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. If you would like to make a contribution to this channel, it'd be greatly appreciated. You can find the links in the description box below or in the chat with you now. And we'll see you tonight on The Late Show. Thanks for joining.